Alright, so let's start customizing this face a little bit more. So I'm going to start using the Shape Builder tool right here. So what I'll do is I'll start by using some rectangles, and the reason why I want to do this is I want to put together some stripes for my vase. So I'll do that, and I'm going to start color picking and customizing my palette. So I am using a few different shades right here. So what I want to do is customize this early on so I don't need to think about my colors. I'm using this primarily as a reference from my older illustration just to show you guys. But what you can do is finish up your drawing. Once you go to another object you want to draw, you can color pick and customize your colors that way. So it looks like I have all the colors that I need, right? And then once I have all those set up, I'll go into my color swatch. So this is selected like this. I'm going to click and drag. I want to put this in an area where I can see it most. Again, click and drag. I want to make sure they're next to each other. Alright. And again, if you can't see your swatches here, you go into Window and you go down to Swatches and you'll have that menu pop up for you. So again, select this color right here, click and drag. And you're going to do this for the rest of your color palette. So that way you don't have to think about color and you already have those ready for you to go. But like I said, complete your first illustration first. So you're going to use the eyedropper until you're satisfied with your color palette. And then when you go to something else, customize your color palette once you're final on this particular illustration. So now what we're going to do is start using those colors. So I'm going to zoom in a little more and see that this is a very powerful tool that we're going to be using, the Shape Builder tool, and I'll show you exactly what it does. So I'd like to create some stripes for my vase right here. So I am just customizing the size, and let's say I want something a little bit thinner, so I will just kind of bring this down a little bit, just give it a little bit more personality. So I like that. I'm gonna do the same on the bottom side. Okay. And let's say we make this a little bit smaller as well. And zoom in. Okay, so this is where I want my shapes to kind of sit on the bowl of my vase and the neck of the vase. So now what I can do is start customizing this a little bit more. So I will select everything like that, and I will start using the Shape Builder tool and just take a look at what this thing does. It's a pretty awesome tool. So as you can see those sections in your shape once you have the bottom shape selected and those stripes selected. What you can do now, if you hold down Option and click, you're subtracting that shape. So you're pretty much customizing the shape to the background that you need it to conform to without having to actually going in there and drawing this manually. So this is what this tool does. It's pretty awesome what it does and how much time it can save. So now I have my shapes already, and now if I wanted to do a little bit more on this particular vase. Let's say I wanted to recreate that shadow-like effect that I had in my first illustration. So what I'll do is I will I will go into the rectangle tool, and as you can see, as I hover over, there is that middle line that's guiding me, showing me that this is the center axis of my shape. Click, and then find that center axis. Alright, and this can be any color, so I'm going to select this again. Now I'm going to go into the Shape Builder tool. This time I'm just going to click. I'm not doing anything, just clicking. Click, 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 all the way down. Right. So I'm just clicking all the way until I reach to the bottom. And what this does is it slices my vase in half. So now, if I want to get rid of this, I'll just get rid of like the excess shapes that I don't need. So I'll hold down Option, right? So now I have all those different shapes I can customize, right? So now I will go into my color palette and see, okay, what was the color that I wanted to use that was a shade darker, so it was this brown right here. So I'll select all those shapes that I wanted to have that darker brown color and see if that achieves the look. So I noticed that this particular shape has a lighter tan color too, so I will customize the particular area a little bit more. And kind of go from there. So this is what this tool does. It just customizes your shapes into more shapes, and you have a lot of control as to how much of those slices you can create. The options are pretty limitless here. And it's a pretty interesting tool to use. So I'd like to customize this a little bit more. What I can do is I can draw more shapes in here and then just reflect those. You can pretty much do whatever you want. What I would like is for those handles to be a different color. So I'm not sure that I can actually achieve this in, maybe I can use it, let's see, I've never tried it, where I just want the handles to be a different setting. So I'm just drawing a random shape using the pen tool just so that I can select that handle only, and then well, I think I can do it. So Shape Builder tool selected, click, subtract this, subtract that. So yeah, it gave me a whole different shape on its own. Alright, so it's a pretty cool shape to use, and a pretty powerful tool. So let's say I want to do this like this brown color, similar to this part area. So, and then I will do the same thing to the other side. Again, I'm just working with symmetrical shapes just because I think it's a little bit easier, and also it's a style preference. I tend to like more symmetrical looking objects because what I'm going to be doing eventually is placing those all on a shelf, and the items that are going to be placed on the shelf are going to be placed asymmetrically. So I have symmetrical objects, but they're going to be placed asymmetrically on the shelf that I will be designing. So that's part of the reason why I chose to stick to this particular style. Oops, and I chose something different. So Shape Builder, minus, by holding down Option, minus, and click to customize my shape over here. Alright, so I'm liking where this is going. So I have my first shape right now. Let's say I'd like to do a little bit more customizing, and as we can see in certain areas of the drawing, There's sometimes a shadow underneath something like this, like a little lip underneath the mouth of the vase. So what I'd like to do is kind of darken this a little bit more and go much deeper like that, just to give it a little bit more of a realistic approach. So I will select that, select those areas like that, and then I will go back into my shape builder tool, which keeps disappearing on me. There it is. Subtract, subtract, and I have what looks like a shadow. So what I would have to do again is take a look at the symmetry of this and kind of divide it like I did with the rest. So subtract this. I definitely don't want, oops. So I would just want to cut this area right here. So what I would want to do is, to be a little bit more exact, zoom in, all right, and just select this area right here. All right. Okay. So now click, and now I have more halves to work with. And then I'll make this slightly shade lighter, like that. So now I have a more realistic looking shadow underneath the lid, right? So this is what the rest of my illustrations are going to be made up of, are a series of different shapes, rectangles, and just customizing the color palette like I did, and just working with the different kinds of objects to make sure like they look a certain way. I'm using a variety of different tools just so that like I can get some exactitude and also some kind of form building going on. And you can go as detailed as you want. Like you can put little patterns in there, or if you want to keep things simple, you can. You don't want to get things too busy because remember, you're going to be using a texture for this illustration, and that texture is going to add more of a grain to it. So you definitely want some nice clean background areas where you have solid color so that when you add that texture you are able to see it and also be able to take a look at the shapes that you drew very concisely. So I'll see you in the next video. What I'd like to do is ask you is if you can practice creating those different types of shapes on your own, recreating a base shape, and then experiment with the shape builder tool by using rectangles, circles, polygons, stars if you want. Or if you'd like to customize the shape to your liking, you can use the pen tool, not a problem. But I'd like for you to practice using this first and seeing how this can actually help improve your drawing skills before you get to a point where you're very confident about what it is that you want to draw. You can definitely sketch it out first by pen and paper or pencil and paper. That is not a problem. I tend to usually sketch things before I draw. This is just something I made up pretty quickly, just a series of vases up on the fly. So what you can do is definitely plan this out for yourself, have a little bit of sketching going on, and then see what it is that you want to do. Remember, the computer is just a tool. It is not the end to the means of what it is that you're trying to create. So don't let the computer think for you. Have your thinking process already straightened out for yourself, and then just use Illustrator as a tool for you to get to your idea. All right? I will see you in the next video where I will have all my objects laid out. And I think we will go into arranging certain objects on a certain type of platform and perhaps do some texture.